Alright you guys, ZFR back here, and in this video I want to talk about Cyberpunk 2077, and I want to talk about a certain thing I'm seeing around the internet with Cyberpunk. I'm seeing a lot of people, really being hard on Cyberpunk when it comes to the gameplay standpoint of view, and I'm not just talking about the gameplay being bad. I'm seeing people expect some crazy stuff from Cyberpunk, maybe even having their expectations way past what the developers have already stated that this game is going to be. So in this video we are going to cover what Cyberpunk actually is, and we're also going to cover maybe a few things that possibly could use some tweaking and that the community is most likely right about. But before we get to it, I just want to apologize in advance for any background noise you might hear throughout the video. My air conditioning is currently down, so I do have a couple of fans running in here and in other rooms, so sorry about that if you can hear them. But anyway, let's get into this video. So the problem I'm seeing with Cyberpunk, or at least the problem I'm seeing a lot of people have with Cyberpunk, is a lot of people are critiquing the gameplay and the shooting mechanics. And here's the thing, I've watched the demo, and I've watched this year's demo and last year's, and I've kind of gone back through every little thing we kind of gotten with Cyberpunk. And if I'm being honest, the shooting really doesn't look bad. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't look like anything special, I will agree on that, but it doesn't look bad. And here's the thing about that, Cyberpunk 2077 is not a first person shooter. I know you probably heard this before, but I'm going to go in a little more detail on what people mean when they say this. Cyberpunk 2077 is a RPG first by design. Alright, that means that this game is not designed around the shooting mechanics. This game is designed to where you probably won't have to use a gun if you don't want to. You can probably go through most of the game with melee combat, if I had to guess from the way they're talking about the game in these developer interviews and stuff like that. So with that being said, it's kind of unwise to go into Cyberpunk expecting it to have good shooting mechanics such as games like Call of Duty or Battlefield, where the gameplay is pretty much entirely focused around firing guns and gunplay and all that. Cyberpunk is just not going to be about that. Cyberpunk is going to focus much more on the story, the quest lines, and how you tackle different situations. It's going to be way more varied. So that means not only is there less time going into the shooting mechanics, but that also means that the game just isn't designed around constant first person shooting. It just isn't. Now with that being said, I do hear people out when they say things such as, well, it definitely couldn't hurt the game to polish it up a little bit. So if they can improve the first person shooting in Cyberpunk, I do think that would really help out in terms of making it a better game. But I think it's also important for people to remember not to get their expectations too high in the wrong areas when it comes to this game. Now don't get what I'm saying wrong. I'm not saying that Cyberpunk 2077 should get a pass for lacking in certain areas such as gameplay or gunplay. But what I am saying is that if you're going into this game expecting it to compete with some other first person shooters, then you might be slightly disappointed, because this game is just simply not focused on first person shooting mechanics. It just isn't. There's so many other mechanics in the game, there's so many different ways to play from what the developers have said, that that's just not going to be the main focal point of the game. And I think people are getting it twisted because the developers just haven't really sold all the other different ways you could really play the game with more hardcore classes. So with that being said, I think that's just really important for people to remember. It's also important to remember that we are living in an age where developers have kind of gotten used to copying and borrowing from each other. There's not too many developers out there trying new things for the first time, or really, trying to revolutionize other things outside of the simple gameplay mechanics. We're so used to every developer, trying to make the gameplay fun through really good shooting, or, crazy enemy types or whatever, that, there's just less developers trying to actually make the game better, or make games better, or revolutionize games through their stories and through the way you interact with the game world and the lore. And that's what Cyberpunk, for me at least to me, I think that they're trying to do. So with that being said, tell me what you guys think down below about this. Do you think I'm right? Do you think Cyberpunk is trying to do something new and special in terms of connecting you with the world through the lore and the story and the characters? Or do you think they need to focus and put more time into the gameplay and gunplay to polish it up? Do you think this game should be more on par with some of the other first-person shooters and stuff out here? Give me your opinions down below in the comment sections. Hit the like button to support the video, the dislike button if you hate the video, and then hit the subscribe button if you want more Cyberpunk 2077 news. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one. ZFR out.